Yo, what's up, aliens? AHEE here. Very excited about this one today. I'm going to be showing y'all my remake of Skrillex, Noisia, Josh Pan, Dylan Brady's Supersonic. I think this might be one of Skrillex's best tracks ever. A lot of my friends have thought similarly. Like even people that really don't like Skrillex stuff, but like Radiohead and like IDM-y kind of stuff, like they really like this one. It's just so artistic and creative, and so I knew I had to try to do my best at redoing this one. All right, so I'm not going to play the original, but I'm going to play all my remake of it. So check this out, and then I'm going to break down like all these interesting things that I found along the way of recreating this. All right, here we go. Yes, this first bit is really accurate. This part, there's a few things that are a bit different, particularly with the vocal chops and whatnot. It's just I didn't have access. So yeah, this section here, I had some help from this other breakdown of the track by Ganymede. Did an amazing job. I'll link below where y'all can check out his recreation. But I took it and I just I noticed some things that were different, and I just really wanted to like pick out every single detail I could find. So I think I helped like dive even further on this recreation. First up, I want to show y'all like how did I actually go about it. I downloaded the dot wave from Beatport, and I lined it up to the grid, which is 172 beats per minute, and I just made sure that the transient of this first kick here is really on the downbeat, and then made sure that they're all lined up there. And from there you can actually see the kicks. You can see the kick right there, you can see it, there's the snare there, you can see the kick right there and right there, another snare there, another kick. But yeah, so going through this process of just like putting a snare and a kick everywhere where it is, it's just like a good placeholder, so that way you actually get like the actual beat down first. And then from there I went through and like listened for the hi-hats. I have a whole tutorial called How to Make Any Beat Ever. I can link that below as well. And that just sort of goes over the process of like how I get a rudimentary structure of the drums and how I go about emulating that. But in the process of doing that, there's a lot of really interesting things. Like I noticed here, some of the kicks, were off beat, were off the grid. I noticed that I went through so many snares. Like I still feel like I'm not happy with how the snare turned out in this. It's the best I could do in the short time I was giving myself for this. I went through so many snares. Look at all these different snares. But I did notice that each snare was a little bit different, and it usually repeated in series of 4. But I noticed like the first one was like a little bit shorter, a little bit longer here and there, just to like give each moment its unique character. It really, you can hear this one's got a little bit more ring in it, and that one's a little bit more staccato or short. And then also there were some really weird things, just like the kick patterns. Like if you see here, it like hardly ever repeats. I guess it sort of repeats in this section of 4, but if I was to copy that over, you see, look, there's like this, it's like these 3 kicks here. If I was to copy this over, it's not just like removing this kick or removing some kicks. It's like this kick is placed here, and then the first time around there's just 3 other kicks in different places. And so that's the main thing I want to get across in this tutorial, is that he was making each section completely unique unto itself. Like there's so many parts in here that just never repeat, and we'll see that over and over again in this process. But I really wanted to show y'all. See, it's almost like there's like a common theme and then a variation on it, because like look, here's the second time around, you'd think that he'd have the 3 kicks there again, but again it's 2 kicks that are completely different. Also here there's these little, that little funky drum bit right there, though his are so much bigger. I didn't want to spend too much time on this just because I want to get back to writing my own music, but this was a fun exercise. So here we can see in the hi-hats here, each variation is completely different, you know? It's just straight there, straight, and then becomes more frequent there, becomes more frequent there, that little switch up there, and then during the trap drop, it drops out for a little bit, but then goes into these like 30-second notes, like yeah, just giving each section its own uniqueness. And then here at the end, he actually reversed them. It's so cool. Yeah, I also, for these, I also put on, so I just released this new series of Magic Ableton racks specifically for Ableton 11 because it's got this new preset feature in here. And you can click on these and it will move the macros around. So I have a bunch of these for, you know, this one is called the hi-hat dancer. What it does is like it will move the hi-hats around so that way you could just have, because these hi-hats are just static. Actually, are they static? Yeah, they are static. So oh, it's these ones over here when it goes to 16th notes. I lower the volume on those, sort of like emulating the different velocities and also like shaping them a little bit different. Super fun stuff. And yeah, and I got other ones for drums, basses, and vocals and whatnot. So this was another big thing, is like making sure everything is routed in a way that to really boost the signal of everything. Here I had all the basses and everything in their own group, and that's being sidechained really heavily, more so than I would in my own tracks. Here's my sidechaining settings. But it's really doing a lot of stuff. And it's ducking the whole spectrum for both the kick and the snare separately here. It's a pretty cool effect in this song. Sometimes I feel like people overdo sidechain, but sometimes when it's overdone in the right way, it's so cool. It's so cool. I mean, that's what everyone's trying to do, you know, is achieve that, but it really takes like a specific context for it to work. What else? Oh yeah, so here on the drums, I was doing some processing. I think this is really where this thing is called the Magic Drum Juice. It's part of the Magic Ableton Rex Volume 4 as well, and it's pretty cool how just made it a little bit tighter. I think I was using the forward push. Yeah, but you can see how these like really change up the vibe of the oh, these are too much. Yes, those are could be cool in the right context though. Anyways, I just wanted to show you all that real quick. Let's go on. What was I using? I was using forward push, I think, on these. I'll provide a link below where y'all can get those. Now here with the basses, I think this is, and this is where I pulled from Ganymed's project. He had these really cool presets, and then I just sort of added onto it. See, I think was original. Let's pull up this serum patch. I recommend going over to his page, and you can download these for free. But yeah, super respacey kind of sound, but it's just the high end, and I've added in some erosion and then auto chopped it because we're only going to be using the high end, and it just gets it creates like this rhythm, and that's sort of like this top end, and then it goes along with this sub. That's just like sine wave pretty much, but it's got the upper like second and third harmonic distorted on there, and I've cut out everything else. And also here are the notes, is the E, F, D. And this is like a thing that I noticed a lot when playing like metal guitar, is like the notes will have the root note, it will move up or down a semitone, which is like that minor second, which just has that really like nah, you know, it's a very dissonant tone, but then it'll go down like a minor third from the note that you're at. So 1, 2, 3, which is a minor third, and that's sort of like, it's one of the consonant notes, but you know, it's on the minor side, but like very dark energy. Da, na, na. Yeah, I don't know if I'm on pitch, but you know. And so that's like the bass. And this is the interesting thing, is that on top of that, he's got these lead sounds going. So like while these are changing notes, this is changing as G sharp to A, while these are going E, F, D. While there's also this, that's just going along with the bass there. And so this is the thing, is that Ganymede in his, I think he originally had these together. And this is what I noticed, it just didn't sound right to me, was that I felt like these voices were being controlled independently in Skrillex's song. And so I pulled them out, and they're basically, let's open up the patch here. I think it's literally just like a detuned saw wave with the low pass there. Yeah, see, there's no effects. Yeah, there's his name right there. Yeah, I EQ'd it a bit, but then this is where I changed it up, is I put the serum effects on this group. I have this whole tutorial about distorting two oscillators together, and that's what this thing is about, is like this distortion on here. And then the phaser. Phaser is so important for this sound. Sort of wraps around your head a little bit more like that. And so yeah, distorting the oscillators together. And now you notice like this sound is very bright. And I noticed that in Skrillex's version it was much darker. So I cut out like 8, 7K above, and that was a trick that I recently watched on like some Jaws tutorial, and I forgot who he learned it from, but it's about, you know, allowing that 7K and up to like have the white noise and hi-hats and whatnot exist in that top range, while keeping like your basses, you know, you can cut out that thing and still have them really powerful and big, but it just leaves more room for those other things. So yeah, and then here, this is another interesting thing, is you can see I used to have all the notes together all in one, and I decided to split them off. This is just like this note, and it comes in late, which is that da-na. You know, such a cool harmony. What note is this? This is E. So it's a unison. And then what's interesting is that it creates that minor second chord with the root note here when it goes up to F, and while this is holding on an E. So cool. So it's like a minor second with 1, 2, 3, with a minor third on top, and then a major third on top. You know, it's this weird blend of major and minor. That top nah. Oh yeah, and that was another thing, is let's look at the automation. There's a lot of miniature automations throughout, so I had to do that pitch bend up, you know, 2 semitones. Super cool effect there. I honestly, okay, so this is another major point in this tutorial, is it felt like every sound had an entrance and an exit. And so like whenever an idea was established, it was introduced, and so it wasn't just like, here's the sound. It was more like, here's the sound, you know? It had like an entrance and exit. Oh yeah, here we can see this other sound, that detail there. I think, yeah, so there's the frequency shifter that's making that downward effect, and then there's some, oh yeah, the auto chopper here. Okay, see, look, there it is. So I'm chopping just this group, you know, while this stuff is just playing straight. You know, it shakes it up, you know, so that way not everything's not in unison, but all of the parts are like playing their own thing. So yeah, that was like the exit. So here's the entrance. Cut. But it had that weird kick pattern. You hear that da-ga-da-da, whoa. So the da-ga-da-da is that auto chopper there, and then the what is that frequency shifter right there. Also, I think, yeah, I added the magic drum juice here on the... just beefs it up so much. I'll provide a link below where y'all can get that. Now let's check out this trap drop. So that bit right there, I actually sampled from, I've forgotten some part in the song where it was just. There's some part in the song, that right there. So I just threw that in a sampler and was able to get these sounds. And I noticed that this sound was super wide in the mix, like it was super out of phase. So I put one, and I put the, what I put on here. Yeah, I cut out the mids on here, and I also put on the stereo spreader with my Singer vocalizer from the Magic Rex Volume 1. And I boosted the sides just to make this really out of phase. But then I also kept a version of it that was more in phase, that didn't have as much effects on it. So if we can see here, you can see that goes out a little bit there, but it's still, you know, it's pretty stereo. And this one's just super out of phase. But what's cool is that it's like a juxtaposition to the very mono sub bass. So yeah, I was using a combination of 808s here, distorting the 808 group. Yeah, I was throwing some overdrive on them, really boosting those lows, trying to like going back and forth in span and like looking at the low end, you know, there, and looking at the low end here and trying to match those levels here inside of span. I have a whole tutorial on that as well. But you can see here there's a lot of like entrances and exits. So like these automations here are for the auto filter. You can see that. And then I had to mess around with the gain automation here, because I noticed that like that entrance wasn't a filter, but it was a volume automation. And so it's like the going back and forth and using different tools, so that way you're not just reusing the same trick over and over again. Oh yeah, on these I had to put the sampler on portamento and set I was automating the glide time at different ports here, just to like really fine tune like how one note bends into another. You can see they're overlapped a little bit to really exaggerate that. And then also here it's like, I noticed that the very first hit on the second round of this trap hit was reversed. I didn't quite nail it, but I did render a bit of audio out and then just hit Apple R to reverse it. And then I tried to get the other background vocals. I didn't have the stem, so I couldn't achieve it, but I tried to get like similar notes. So it's like this like harmony here. So it's like similar to during the first drop, how during the second round of it, you know, there became this like richer harmony. And I think that's what they were trying to achieve. So this is, yeah, and changing that note there. So, you know, nothing's repeating on all this stuff. I'm going to repeat, nothing's repeating, at least not in the same way. Because like, look at even here, like just the first note, it's a reversed one instead of like a normal one. And then the second time around, it's got that extra like that upwards note right there. Oh yeah, then there were some of these oh yeah, I did the side chain, went through with this little tiny white noise blip, just lined it up with the kicks and the snares. Well, yeah, I think that is most everything in here. If you guys enjoyed this, please give it a like and subscribe. If you want to support me, definitely the Magic Racks, buying those from my Gumroad is the best way to do that. Maybe share this with a friend who likes producing. Oh yeah, I just have to show this. There's all these like super subtle things like reverse impacts and these like can and like glass breaking at certain times that just only happen once. Again, nothing repeats. This weird vocal thing with some white noise that I was pitch bending. You can see there with the automation. Okay, that is all aliens. All right, see you next time. Peace.